just want to give a quick audience participation vote here. My name is Bernie Gilbach, that's Peter Dunnigan and Mark Brock, who will introduce themselves properly later. Hands up if you came here with a piece of technology, and in that technology you have downloaded audio into it already. I'm really curious about this. Who's got stuff? Audiobooks, podcasts, or spoken content? Whoa, that's surprising. I would have lost a bet. So, in my practical experience, fewer than 10% are doing what we're about to show you. So over to Mark Brock, who knows how to do it best. Mark?
Yes, Bernie. Hi, my name is Mark Brock. I'm from a company called AudioBoo, which is about a year old, started in March 2009, which is really simple. It allows you to upload audio to the web and share it with your friends. What we do very well is attach quite a lot of metadata to that, like a title, a photo, and a location. So I'm just going to play you one first of all. And of course, I pick our best known user, Stevie Fry, but let's just listen to it.
I am in the reverberation chamber of the National Physics Laboratory, the NPL, Nipple, I think it is. It's extraordinary. Wow! In a minute we're going to hear some balloons popping. Going to burst the balloon now. Oh no, good. So we're not going to do it again. We're going to do it again in another room, which is Amico.
So all that was done, no special equipment, just one of these, and it works on an Android. Really good high quality audio. Not only do you get the audio, you get obviously the tags and the title, you get a photo that you can attach to the audio of where he was, and then you also get location details. So we capture all of that and package it with the audio, send it up to the web. From your account on the web, you can have it auto post to Twitter or Facebook or Phosphorus or Tumblr or God knows what. So I'll just show you how easy that is. So I do my my game show host here, and I find someone in the audience to interview. I found someone here. Is that his name?
Chris.
How would you do, Chris?
I'm a journalist.
And what's your favourite fish?
Oh, however.
To save that, I can then get someone else and record them for one, add to it, but I'm not going to. So I'm just going to take Chris's picture. Immortalise him. That will then send it up to the web within 10 seconds or something. That's going to be on Phosphorus, or it's going to be on my Facebook page. So if anyone new joins you soon, you know why. It will go out to my Twitter, and it will also be available on AudioBoo.net. So we're not revolutionary. We're not, oh my God, this is the next big thing. We just try and make things as easy to do as possible. That's our sole thing. There's a lot of clever technology underneath the kind of bonnet. But our goal is to make it as simple as possible to capture very high quality audio and get it out as fast. You can do some quite interesting stuff with the data. So this is the site. We do following like on Twitter. We do popular boos. So if I look at the most recent boos here. Here's the one I've just posted. So see how quick it is. So we've got the audio there. The location where it was fantastic. So we built the pipes. These gentlemen, one of them, Bernie, tells people what the pipes need, and Peter is one of the people talk about some of the information we have. So, for example, we create automatic iTunes feeds for everything. For your own account, people can follow the popular views. You can download those into any podcast device and listen to them as podcasts. We have RSS feeds of everything, which, for example, allows us to do clever stuff like this. So you can paste those into Google Earth, and you can actually have a look on Google Earth about where people have recorded audio. So you can see a lot in a place over the water, but beginning to be much more in Dublin. Or I can zoom right out, and again, quite big in Germany, a bit less in Russia for some reason, or some areas. So all we're really doing is saying here's a platform, it's really high quality audio, there's a bunch of data that's associated with the audio, go and do stuff with it, and Bernie's going to describe how that's done.
Thanks, Mark.
That's open source, is it?
What's that mean?
What's your business model? We go into AudioBoo. Do we have to?
Yeah, so at the minute, AudioBoo's, you get 5 minutes free. So you can go to AudioBoo on the App Store and download and use it. There's a business model that's essentially much more server-based. So we have people like the British Library, Royal Opera House, Open University, who pay us a yearly license fee to have moderation and longer groups and stuff.
When you say 5 minutes free, you mean multiple 5 minutes?
Yep, you can use as many 5 minutes as you want.
What we've done is we've discovered that there are a lot of people in Ireland picking up on AudioBoo, and their interests cross a lot of spectrum. The audio spectrum, political spectrum, gender spectrum. And what I have behind me here is a sample of some work that people have done. I'm going to show you, if you're going to deep dive under the audio segment and not encounter a macro or a halibut or a piece of cod, what this would look like. And what I'm showing you is an oscilloscopic trace using sound forge of the waveforms to make the point that the program itself is optimized, unlike the way your phone works, to blank noise. It's not the human voice. The way the program is set up, capturing a 128K sample, high bitrate sample, it also seems to be capturing ambient noise, providing a clue to someone's environment. But it also, if you wish to use it, could take a file from the computer and upload it as an audio file. So what I have some students do at the grade student where I work is record on small handheld devices, deploy it out to the field, and share the work. What I found interesting was encountering the work of Letty Maloney, who's a graduate student at the University of Limerick. And she did a sound wave, quality sound wave that's run behind me, with sound that she made. She's deaf.
Spring of Luck with Peter Dunnigan.
That's not her, that's me.
We're talking about some Irish.
But the point I'm making is that just by looking at this sound wave, and you can find this sample online, just Google for Irish boosters, you'll find this. This is a sound wave going across, and when the sound wave starts to become more compressed, that means something's happening that's not as clear as what Letty had. So something's happening here, probably background noise.
This is Ray Martin Road, and he's reflecting, and this is AudioBoo about what rain might be like down in Africa.
So basically, it's picking up the background noise, and if you were using a regular phone, phone cancels the noise, and that's what's really, really handy. Susan, who's in the audience here, took a trip across to the island.
Selling the happy flipper.
So this is Susan Pickett here, and
My point is, if you're a recordist or a sound engineer, you'll know what a waveform is, and you'll understand artifacts, you understand truncation, and you'll know distortion when you look at it. At source, the network may say, look, I'm having a problem taking this, so I'm going to bring it down to edge, and they bring it down like a 3G piece sample. In Susan's case, the mic or the iPhone was trying to reduce the sound of the wind, the sea, the rumble of the boat, and then the waveform is like that. So why am I showing this to you? Just to make the point that you can do it as easy as Mark says. pop the earbud in and talk. I always use an earbud with my phone, use an Android phone. You can use it with an iPhone as a microphone. You can line it in. So like what I do is actually line in content. I line a big old honking mic, a wired dynamic mic that I have, into old gear that I have. So I use this big mic. It's a directional mic, sniper mic, shotgun mic. I can actually get about 3 to 5 meters away, a good sound source. So I'm taking old gear, including mixed boards like this, a little DI link box, and I'm walking around with this stuff. But I'm also walking around with small gear. So if you're here because your interests are for sound engineering or curriculum, or you're with radio and you want to make sure that the recordist isn't put out of business, he or she won't be. You can still leverage the old gear in a really interesting, socially engineered way. As Mark said, all the content, when it goes up, can be embedded somewhere else by grabbing the embed code, can be shared using the Facebook or the Twitter linkages, and can start to migrate elsewhere. It intrigues me to see gardening podcasts that Peter has and stuff that I've done reach the featured news status or get picked up with prominence. But the best guy to show that is actually Peter, so I'm going to give this over to him. Gardening.
Landscape.
Okay.
Or as gardens, I don't know.
Oh yeah, what was that? I was looking for your face. Over to you, Peter.
Yeah. Okay, so I suppose I queried why I was here as well at the very, very start. And I did a podcast on it because I didn't really get, to be honest, why I was. Am I on this right page?
You got to log in.
But I didn't understand why I was asked here, and I kind of do now, because the answer is I don't really care so much how Mark does it, and I don't really care what Bernie teaches. I'm 34. I figured out how to embed a YouTube video into a blog post about 3.5 years ago, and that for me was cause for celebration, and since there I've kind of got on. But I don't want to know how the 3-pin plug goes together. I just want to use the thing. And then all of a sudden I become featured, and when Mark came across to Dublin a while ago, people were outside the pub and they were saying, how did you get featured? And I'm going, I don't know. And what had actually happened was I emailed him to write a blog post on it to say, how do you get featured? And he went, it's done. And I went, no, but thanks for that, and really appreciate it, now I just look cool. But how do I get featured? The following week, Bernie Goldbach emailed me, and he said, he tweeted me, and he said, there's our man at Donegan Gardens, cresting the wave above at Ray Foley show. And I was at number 2 in the AudioBoo popular charts, and Ray Foley was at number 5. And I don't particularly like Ray, for no apparent reason. His show, I've never met the chap, I don't really care what he has for dinner, but I don't particularly like his show. And that's the point where it is. So, as a gardener, which is essentially what I do, Bernie tells me all these great things about myself, then he insults me, then he tells me great things again. But my job as a guy who's 10 years in business, building, creating gardens, cutting hedges, cutting grass, whatever you want to call it, designing gardens, is that when I do something wrong, I want to figure out how I got it wrong, how do I make it better. When I do something right, I want to figure out why I got it right, how do I keep it consistent. And in the AudioBoo bits, this is the bit where I've had to go back for the first time in my life and say, talk to me, both of you, how do I make it better? And the answer is, in podcasting terms, there is no answer. We were talking yesterday about what's actually in the popular bits at the moment. Now, outside of the likes of David Miliband, who I don't really care for either, there was one girl in particular, apologies for those who may be easily offended, and hers was a 4-minute podcast. I think it was at number 2. It was about a 4-second podcast, and she basically said, whatever the name is that I can't make out, is a C-U-N, and you can put the final consonant in at the end yourself. That was it. That was number 2. If you go down a little bit the list, what you actually had was Paul O'Malley, who decided to do a podcast on how you record one while you're in the shower at the same time. And that's it. And somewhere in between, the week before that, it's me talking gardens. Now, the only thing I did do, or the only thing I did figure out how to do, was when I started, first of all, I would kind of make sure the room was quiet, and I've got 2 dogs, and I've got 4 hens, so I started doing the first podcast, and next minute, fucking hens start laying in the background, and I mean, I've never had a child in my life, and I've never really looked at a hen upside down, but it sounds painful. And when it comes across, and that's where Bernie comes in, he's going, no, your iPhone actually can pick up. And I don't have any of Bernie's equipment. I literally have what I did as you were walking in today, which is the iPhone. I don't use microphones. I listened to Bernie, I tried it, and then I went, no, shit, I'm actually right, he's wrong, and I did it my own way again. But it actually is, where have I gone to? Yeah, is she actually still there? But it's quite handy, and the bit where Bernie was saying, and I was actually trying to, I did a post on podcasting, or I had one ready, and I ended up scrapping the post on it, because in a post sense, you've got to be, you've got to hit the spell check button, you've got to do the whole lot. And I was kind of going, no, I don't want to do that. I think there's a point where, you know, you put me in front of desperate housewives and sellotape me to the chair and go, watch it, you know, or you'll suffer. And I want to hear the guy's frustration in his voice. It's quite good in a sense that it's disconnected up to the box, Bernie. Yeah. Okay, so where am I gone? So let's go to podcast or roastcasters. Sorry, I'll get this one. Ah, yeah. Okay. My apologies. Bear with me. Okay. Which one did I do it on? I'm lost now here in my own head. Okay, so oh no, my apologies. Bear with me. But it's a very, very handy thing. The one thing I liked and the one reason I dislike, for example, Facebook, I don't dislike Facebook. I've said this before and I've said it on a podcast. I signed out of Facebook because the girl I was going out when I was 14 years of age found me, and I tried to explain to her that it didn't work then. I'm now 34. It's not going to happen again. I didn't really want to hear it. So, you know, it's, you know, get over it. It's like 20 years. Rolling Stones are still going, and so are you. So there was an element to that. I think there was also a point where, in that context, I actually realised I can never get out of Facebook. It's like I'm locked in a prison, but I'm not, because you can't get out. And it's something I wanted to ask one of the talkers today, but it's not going to happen. In this context, what I found really easy was, and I've always said, I hear techie people, as I call them, talking about tech, and I don't freaking get it, because they all get it, and I'm standing here going, okay, well, I should just start talking Latin botanical, so the gustrum valifolium, orium variegata, which basically means privet hedge, but don't I sound really intelligent? And that was the second point I make with the techniques, but in this one, you literally log on. It's a quick sign up, you set up your little profile thing, and that's good. As regards when everybody was walking in the door, and I was saying, you know, I think the question was, what would you do instead of a brown bag, or what colour bag do you think you should have used? It is that simple to the point that Mark uploaded, and it is a case of that you use the picture, but where I wanted it, and I hope this one works, this was an argument I had. Is this working? Okay, this was an argument I had basically with the organic guys, because I was trying to make the point that I grow fruit in my back garden and it's not organic, but then I got the far right wing organics from, you know, United States, no offense Bernie or anybody else, but they're kind of coming along going, you know, you bastards, you're feeding your kids non-organic, you know, cornflakes, and I'm going, well, I grew them in my back garden myself. And I was trying to get, you might say, the frustration across, but again, I say what I do for a living is in the great outdoors, and Bernie was saying to me, well, it sounds like you're sitting in an office with a photocopier going in the background, which is a fair point. So this is the bit where it actually works extremely handy for me, to be honest.
It's the proxy on that.
Okay, so, all right, sorry Bernie, the other side of it is, where it's really, really good, is a lot of what I was doing was YouTube videos, and as an avid blogger, you've got to bear in mind, I've got a brand spanking child, and its time is of the essence. So when I got 30 minutes to do a blog post, I got 30 minutes. With this thing, what I tend to do is, or what I try and do, is take 10 minutes, do a podcast, take my photograph, I tag it. It's up on AudioBoo literally within seconds, and then I take the embed code and I stick it in. Now, if you've ever done a YouTube video before of people saying hello to family get together, and you try and edit that, and then you convert it into .avi, and then you upload it into, I don't know, Windows Media or one of these things, then you put it together, then you upload it to YouTube. Vimeo, if you're on the unpaid bit, it's even worse again. It can take up to 3 hours to try and get a video into a blog post. And to be honest with you, what I really wanted, when I went to the Rose Gardens in Raheny for the Rose Festival, that didn't really have any roses in the thing. The point was that all the roses were falling on the ground, and the place looked bad, but the roses to me looked good, because I'm obviously horticulturist. So the video wasn't fair on the grounds of the park. And there's the bit where I think I constantly refer to one that Bernie does as well. It's called a scratch and sniff doing. He's down in Park Nasilla Hotel, and you can hear the leaves crunching between the soles of his feet as he's walking. And it leaves you with an image where I know the grounds are imperfect because there's leaves on the ground, so it would be unfair to do the video. But it's an image in the head, and I think my famous line and my famous quote is, it turns equation to poetry. And that's the one thing for me that AudioBoo does, but it also means I can have a published blog post. So now, I think once a week on a Friday, I do a 20-minute AudioBoo, which is going to be the paid version of what Mark is doing, and then I upload that and I just put quick links. By the way, remember the link I was talking about cutting your hedges? Yeah, there it is. If you want to hear it, that's fine. If you don't want to get it, that's fine. But I'm told my brother-in-law in Germany listens to me once a week.
Let's listen to you.
So, there you are.
They're still building the nest. Wow, it's amazing what. It's coming about 2 foot over my head. There she is, she's just gone up, the second one's just gone up now. There's 2 of them in the nest, 2 of them gone. It's phenomenal. Now one of the big boys comes out, they all disappear. But in that same breath, I've just left my good lady.
Questions? We have 5 minutes to the break.
I'm intrigued about the creation of the original idea and the choice of focusing on audio only as opposed to video. And I'm interested in knowing if you think it's because of mobile video recording technology being too poor, or if it's more of what I would call an ideological choice of favoring, as Peter said, poetry over equation.
A couple of reasons. One, as a company, we've never done anything with audio before. I don't know if that means anything or not. Two, the idea came from 2 places really. So my mother died in 2006, and my first time I kind of realised I didn't have any recordings of her, because people like me never carry around a recorder, stuck in the head. In 2008, we were doing some work with Channel 4 in the UK on some digital radio stations that they wanted to launch, one of which was a competitor to Radio 4. So we kind of came with the idea of very high quality, user generic content to be used in economically challenged industries such as newspapers and radio. They trashed the idea of doing that. We'd already started work. We kind of launched it as on a whim in March 2009. Within 3 weeks, The Guardian had used it at the G20 protests in London. We had then used their audio to map, just by using location stuff, to map the route of the marches. And we got something like 250,000 hits on the Guardian webpage in one day. So we kind of thought, this is quite interesting. So we stumbled upon it. In terms of why we do audio, we think especially spoken word audio is being missed by the kind of Web 2 revolution. It's all been about music, which makes sense because music is a fundamentally challenged industry. So I think we have found a really interesting niche. Will we do video? Probably not. I think there's something much more personal about audio, much more emotional. Slower bandwidth doesn't cost us so much. And also there's loads of people doing video. So I think we found a really interesting niche.
Thanks. It's really cool.
Barry from Dot Conf. We publish news about the technology industry. So presumably then you mentioned that it automatically uploads to iTunes, and presumably then you'd be able to see whether or not people are actually downloading people's clips, whether they're at home, on their laptop, whether they're on their iPad or their handheld device, and whether or not they're actually out in the field as they do that, whether they're actually accessing through Wi-Fi. Could you share some information about that?
No.
No.
We've probably got it, we haven't done the calculations. So I think at the minute, probably 40% of our referrals come from Twitter. So I think a lot of people see a piece of audio in their stream, go to it, listen to 1.5 pieces, 2 pieces, which is something we're keen to kind of get away from. I should also note the other thing that's happening in September is we're integrating with Pure Radio. So Pure make a series of DAB radios that have Wi-Fi connections. From September there'll be an AudioBoo option in there, so you'll be able to listen to, unfortunately, listen to people like Peter on your radio as well.
Mark, I'm just interested in the idea of conversation and encouraging conversation through audio. And at the moment, it's possible you listen to an audio on the website and then you comment in text format. Can you say something about your plans, kind of, move that towards or give the option to actually, conversing in audio? Because there's been so many times when I've listened to an audio, for example, from Brian here, and I've wanted to respond in audio format as because I'm on the move or whatever. So just maybe say some things about that.
Sure. So we totally recognise that the ability to leave voice comments makes sense with an audio platform. We haven't done it yet. You can actually paste the URL of a AudioBoo player into the comments box and turn it into a link, which is a kind of workaround. So there's 2 things we're going to do. We're going to enable the ability to leave a boo as a response to a boo to begin friendly conversations. We've also been working on, he said, ad-libbing as it comes up, something called streams. So streams are not really launched yet. If anyone wants to try them, they can. And this is a stream I put together at breakfast in about 2 minutes. Now what a stream is the ability to group different pieces of AudioBoo. So anyone can post to a stream. So when you design a stream, you can set up to be completely private, which might be great if I'm tending to be a pig or something for competition. You can set a stream up to be semi-private, so a group of people, so great for an education institute or a company, and they're the only ones that can ever post to it or listen to it. Or like this one, you can set a stream up so that anyone can post into it. So you can see there's a boo from me here this morning, and there's a couple from Peter here. So this is about people, self-organisation of information. We recognise that we can't do it, we'll be crap here, but if we can create destinations where people can begin to have those conversations, whether everyone's at Glastonbury and is posting to the Glastonbury group, whether they're all interested in steamrollers and they can all post to that. Again, that's a way of creating a forum and community. So I think, voice comments and streams work really well together to begin organising all of that.
Hi, I work on podcasts. They go from 10 minutes to about an hour and a half at times. I was just wondering, is there a maximum length, maximum file size, and what kind of pricing structure is there for post 5 minutes?
So at the minute it's 5 minutes free. We're working on a kind of yearly subscription model where it's kind of unlimited recording, and then that will work on your account, so work on the phone, it will work on the web upload. So for example, I'll show you here, it's got a little record button on it. That will throw up a little window which allows you to try to record using the browser, so you can use a mic on, and it's very sexy location aware. So you can either record directly on your laptop, or your desktop, or you can actually upload an existing file. And the experience on this is very, very similar to the iPhone, so actually if I just record it, so I do that. Those got a Java applet. Disconnection. And at the minute, we haven't finalised pricing. We're kind of thinking about £50 a year. Fairly, fairly low. That's good, isn't it?
It's about €10, is it?
It will be. Yeah. So any more questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.